How's it going, guys? We are doing a quick tutorial on selective color today. So again, selective color, you're turning an image black and white, and then you are using color to draw emphasis to a focal point. The very first thing you need to do is go down to the bottom right and click on your adjustment layers panel. It brings up all these different options. We need to select black and white. So that's going to turn our image black and white. If this window pops up, I would not adjust any of these. You can if you want, but it will mess with your color if you do that. So I typically just leave it the way that it is. Now, the next thing that we need to do is get into actually brushing off this mask. So right here, if you can see where I'm clicking, oh, sorry. If you can see where my mouse is kind of circling, this black and white layer is just a mask or a layer over our actual image. So we're actually not doing anything to the image itself. We are only manipulating this mask over the top of it. So it's a non-destructive editing technique, and non-destructive just means you're not messing with any of these original pixels in your image. So if anything were to happen here, it would not affect your image at all. And I generally always prefer to use non-destructive editing methods when I'm in Photoshop, so that's what I teach you guys. The next thing that we need to do, so make sure you are on your mask, and you'll know if you have this little white box around it, or I guess these little white lines around your white box. That means that you are ready to go, you're good to go. You need to hit B on your keyboard, as B as in boy. That shortcuts to your brush tool. It's also on this tool panel to the left. If you right click on it, just make sure that that top brush tool is selected. To change the size of your brush, there's a couple different ways. One way is to right click. You can change the size of it here to whatever you need. And then you can also change the type of brush that you have. The two types that we will mostly be using are hard and soft brushes. So if you, I just kind of hovered over this, and if you just let your mouse sit on top of it, it'll bring up the type of brush that it is. I'm mostly going to use a soft brush for this just because it gives you a little bit more room for error. But if you're doing something with a very sharp line like lettering or maybe a sign on the road, then a hard brush will be better. It just depends on the situation. And if you have questions, just feel free to ask. Oops, sorry, didn't mean to do that already. The next thing, or another way to change the size of your brush, is to use the bracket keys next to P as in Peter on your keyboard. So those two bracket keys make it bigger or smaller. That's typically how I adjust my brush, just because it's so much faster. There's other ways as well that you can adjust it. Make sure you're on your brush. And then if you hit D on your keyboard, if you notice down here, it swapped my colors. D just resets your foreground and background colors to black and white. If you hit X, so D as in dog, to reset these. If I swap them, D will just reset it, and now it's to the default. So if I hit X on my keyboard, it will swap the foreground and the background color. Whatever color is on top is the color that you will be brushing with. So if we're brushing with white, our mask is white, and it's not going to do anything. Right now I'm clicking, I'm holding, it's not doing anything. If I hit X, black is going to paint away our mask. So now it's putting color into the image. And essentially you can think of it like that as well. If you want to put color in, make sure you're painting with black. If you want to take color out, just hit X, and then you can take it out if you make a mistake. You can always go back while using Command Z or Option Command Z. So if you hold Command Z, or sorry, if you hold Command and press Z, it only goes back and forth one time. If you hold Command and Option and then hit Z, you can go back multiple steps to kind of get back to where you were. So Command Z goes back and forth one time, and Command Option Z will go back as many times as your history allows you to. So now basically I think that's basically it. There's a couple more things that I'm going to talk about. Well, no, let's talk about them right now, because I think it'll be easier to kind of discuss them. Right now we need to swap to black. I'm going to click here, and this is just for demonstration purposes. So I literally just clicked once, I clicked and I'm not doing anything. Now I'm going to press Shift on my keyboard and click again. That makes a straight line. So I'm going to hold Shift again and click down here. Click again. This is perfect if you have straight lines in your image, if you have a sign or lettering or some kind of frame. That is perfect. So holding Shift, so just click once, hold Shift, click again, and then you're good to go. I need to zoom into this. There's many different ways that you can zoom in and out and kind of navigate within Photoshop. The way that I like to do it, and really the way that I show you guys, this should be review at this point, but I like to do it with just a couple keys on my keyboard and my mouse wheel. If you hold Option and use your mouse wheel, it'll zoom in and out. If you just do the mouse wheel itself, it'll go up and down. And if you hold Command and use the mouse wheel, it will go side to side. So again, Option and the mouse wheel will go in and out, and then Command and your mouse wheel will go side to side, and just the mouse wheel itself will go up and down. Now we're ready to brush this in. Make sure you have black on top because black is going to paint the color in. And then just fill in the areas or paint in the areas of color that you want. Remember, it should be some sort of focal point. It shouldn't just be some random spot in your image. So this is fairly simple to do. It makes pretty cool images. Now, the one thing I want you to be very careful of is all this stuff outside. I don't want you to have lines that are not clean. So I'm going to shrink my brush down. I'm going to hit X. Now I'm painting with white. That's going to take the color away. And I want you to have your lines as clean as possible. That's one huge thing that I grade on when we're doing these. So make sure that you're paying attention to that. I'm using a hard brush just because it's making those lines a little bit more crisp. So I'm just going to do this quick and then we'll kind of go. So, and that's the important thing to look at when you're doing this is swap between both brushes. And you see how big mine is? I mean, it's like ridiculously big. I could definitely clean up this edge a little bit, but I'm going to say that this is good. When you are happy with the way that your image looks and you're ready to save, go up to File, Save As, title it with a number first. So for this assignment, you have to do 5 images. This is my first one. I'm going to do 1. And then use a title that's appropriate for the image. So I'm just going to do 1 oranges. Sorry. Make sure that you save it to your desktop. I think that's just the easiest. So make sure this says desktop as well as right here, that window. Format, change that. Make sure it's JPEG. Hit save. When that window pops up, typically I save mine quality at 12 and then baseline optimized. That's how I suggest you save yours as well. Hit OK. I'm just going to minimize this, and then it should be on your desktop somewhere. If it's not as messy as mine, it should be a lot easier to find. That's our final image. That's it to selective color. It's very, very simple, but it's also kind of a cool technique to do. So good luck with this. Have fun, and if you have any more questions, don't be afraid to ask me. See you guys next time. Bye.